Hi.
Hi, man.
It's nice of you to. I don't know where I was going with that.
Socially distanced from you.
Yes. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
My
I know
elbow shake.
elbow bumps
Elbow
and all that. Are we two? I think we're 2 meters.
I think so. We've not. I mean, yeah, we are.
Yeah.
For-
So we thought we would try and video this, as you can obviously see.
And
well, if you can't see because we never made it work, then
Yeah. This is an experiment. Because there was quite a lot of good response to all the remote podcasts that we did.
it was fun.
Yeah,
It was fun. It was different, and we might still do them. There's some audio issues with it. I don't love the audio.
Yeah,
but that can be ironed out.
yeah. It gradually improves, and unless people have got to that episode where it started, and they've just thought, nah.
Oh the last one we did with Sharice, I was recorded into Logic, and it kept cutting out for some reason. So there's points of it where it has my microphone, and then there's points of it where it doesn't. It was super frustrating to edit.
Yeah.
And editing sort of Zoom audio with mic audio is a roast. But
Not fun.
No, but it's okay.
We made it work.
We did.
I guess, if there's a testament to the Rona, is that people have just learned how to make things work.
Exactly. Working
So-
from home.
It might not be perfect, but it's at least a thing.
Indeed.
So-
Indeed.
How's your quarantine been going?
Well, I had a baby.
Of course. Well, I mean, we
So
spoke about that.
We
haven't
have spoken about
that. That made me. Sorry, I need to apologise right there. That made me sound like that. Oh, you've just had a baby. I had my pizza.
Dismissed.com.
I know, dismissed.com.
So no, it was great. It was what a way to learn to raise a child when you can't leave the house.
Exactly.
Or I say raise a child because its entire lifespan has been 11 weeks so far.
Wow. 11 weeks.
But yeah,
has little Hannah grown a little personality?
she has. She's great. She's full of life. She sleeps a little more now.
Full of mischief as well.
Not quite yet. There has been the odd punami, as it has been coined by my mother-in-law, which is lots of fun. But she tends to want to play at 2 a.m. when she gets up for a night feed, and I don't want to play at 2 a.m.
She's like, it's party time.
Absolutely excellent. It's Wayne's World. So, it's getting there, man. It's all new. It's all new,
It's an adventure, though, eh?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's great. We can get out. We can visit people now, and people can, come and see her, and that's been nice.
Because I guess a health pandemic is in many ways a good time probably to have a baby because you're not getting disrupted by anyone, but bad time because you can't really spend much time with family. And
Yeah, it swings and roundabouts. When Gail went into labour, I wasn't allowed to be there till she was 3 centimetres dilated, which took hours.
yeah,
So it was a shame, man. She was on her own in the hospital, in a room on her own, having really painful contractions with zero support.
yeah,
Because the nursing staff were short-staffed. It was a busy evening, and there's only so many of them can go to work. And
sure.
once it was funny all the way through pregnancy, and especially latterly towards giving birth. She kept reminding me to bring food with me when it was labour time, when it was on,
Right.
and I forgot. And over the space of 40 hours, I had a sandwich to eat. Which one of the nurses managed to find me, because once I got to the hospital, I wasn't allowed
Where
to
did
leave.
she find it?
She found it. I didn't ask. It was still packeted, thankfully.
Okay.
But once I was in the labour suite, I wasn't allowed to leave. I couldn't leave and come back.
Yeah. You
So I
can't
was
just go for a coffee.
No, and I should have phoned the Domino's or something. But
I just love imagine that from the pizza delivery person's point of view. So I have got a pepperoni.
So that was a challenge, and I get quite hangry.
Yeah.
But there was something bigger than that happening, so I just kind of let it go, and I just managed to just see myself through it. But there was a really strange period just before Hannah was born. Gail had a section, and when they took her to theatre, what they were trying to do was turn the baby using forceps, because she was back to back, so she couldn't come out naturally. But they left me on my own in hospital scrubs for 30 minutes. Just sitting in a corridor with no one else around. Then Ayrshire Central, just is my wife alive? It's zero information given. And then they just came out, a nurse came out, right, we're ready for you. And I walk in and they're strapping Gail at the table for a section. I'm just like,
what's even scarier is they also were like, right, here's the knife, on you go.
Scalpel.
Scalpel.
No, they just put this partition up.
Yeah.
This paper partition just goes up, and Gail's wide awake throughout the whole thing. And the only person sort of giving her any information about what's going on was the anaesthetist. He was really cool, but the doctors just go into this mode where they just like nothing else exists except exactly what's happening in front of them, which they have to.
Of course, yeah, because if they're thinking about what they're having for their dinner, then
and they talk to each other all the way through the process. They just don't talk to the person on the table, which can be really, really scary.
Yeah. I suppose more often than not, that person on the table's asleep though.
No, when you have a C-section, when you have
I know, but I just mean in general. Like,
you know, it depends what the operation is, but I'd assume 95% of them you're out the game. But Gail was very obviously wide awake.
Yeah. Was that your first time in a theatre like that, like a hospital?
Yeah, it was. I've had operations, but I've been sleeping. So, but yeah, it's really terrifying.
Yeah. Is it like, because every time, you know, you watch like these like hospital shows sometimes, and like the theatre is like a dark room and they've got all the lights and all that. It's almost like a film set, but like
no, it's super bright.
Is it really?
It's halogen everywhere. It's like super well lit.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's the ceilings and stuff weren't too high, so it was like super bright. And Hannah was born at 5 a.m.
Wow.
So you're like, struggling to stay awake. You know, it's this weird sensory overload. The only time I've ever felt it was coming home from my honeymoon when we got to Dubai airport, because it was a similar time in the morning, and again it's like super halogen bright. Yeah. And you're just like, you've been awake for hours, man, like a day and a half or something, you know. Yeah. So it was really weird. And then all of a sudden you just thrust your baby. So all this emotion happens all at once. Yeah. You know, I got to cut the cord and all that, so that was great. But you know, like Gail's can't move because she's still super strapped down and can't feel anything, and so I'm trying to like maneuver Hannah so Gail can see her for the first time, and it was all very weird, you know. Hat comes off to women that have to go through pregnancy, because it is horrendous, man. It's I think if it had been born naturally, like, it's a strange word to use, but it's really violent. Like, your entry into the world is really, really stressful. Yeah. You know, and I can't imagine how it was for women centuries ago, you know. Oh, man. I mean, they just thrust this waiver in front of Gail, this insurance form to sign. So, like, if anything happens, it's not our fault. It's really weird. Like, when you're going to theatre, they sign you've got to sign a consent form and all that. And so Gail's, like, trying to push a baby out and sign a consent form.
That is so bonkers.
It really is, really, and it's the law. You've got to do it. I get it, I understand it.
And for them, it's not that weird, because that's just part of the job.
It is part of the job, and they deal with it really delicately. They were all really great. And in terms of sections, Gail's was textbook. She lost very little blood, and you know, her scars all super well healing and stitched up, and it was great. But it's scary as. Yeah. But then you have this little bundle of joy. Exactly. But then, you know, we get home and Gail can hardly walk up the stairs, and, you know, it's a tough time,
It's not as romantic as sometimes movies and all that make it out to be.
It's the least romantic thing in the world. It's honestly the least romantic thing in the world. But at the same time, it's the most beautiful thing in the world, because you have a human that's yours that you have there. I'm responsible for something now. You know, I'm barely responsible for myself. Yeah. Let alone this little joyous little baby. But yeah, she's great, and Gail's great, and you know, when we can get her up to see everybody, we'll bring her on in. You know, I'm trying very much to keep her off the internet. Yeah. Which is hard. It's harder than you think,
especially now. Like, new babies, like, everyone just wants a photo, or like you know, like everything.
You know, FaceTiming aunts and uncles is the only way that they can see the baby at the moment. You know, some of them have not even got to yet. You know, and you know, there's weird things happening. Like, I didn't even think about this, but people sending us parcels, which is the most loveliest thing in the world. Gail's getting really freaked out because of coronavirus. She's like, that didn't even cross my mind that a parcel could come in the door full of the Rona. Yeah, of course, yeah. Man, wow. You know, and you'd think people are just sending you a gift for your baby. Isn't that lovely? Maybe we should have hung off and waited, and, you know, but what can you do? You know, we're all good.
And that's it. It's just, it's instinct at that point, isn't it? Like, people just automatically think, oh, I need to get the baby a present, I'll send it out, because that's the only way to do it. But you're right. I think, maybe I'm wrong, and maybe it's just what I've seen, but I think ever since kind of everyone's kind of just accepted it all now. Like,
yeah,
know.
my health visitor, Hannah's health visitor, has told us that Ayrshire has no cases of coronavirus now,
Right.
which is great.
Yeah.
So that means like the postie coming to the door is cool. It's cool now.
Yeah.
You know, but then you look at Leicester, who's just had the lockdown again because they they partied too hard, man.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't heed advice apparently.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's all lessons to learn, isn't it?
Totally.
But
Yeah. It's
I
the
don't
biggest
really
learning curve.
I don't really fancy that being a lesson to learn.
No.
Like
not
you
really.
that somebody's granny sent them something that
Mm-hmm.
gave you a horrendous virus. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all good. It's
Mhm.
all good. So,
Good.
how was your quarantine?
Yeah.
How is it?
Yeah. It's been alright. Yeah.
Different.
Nothing to report
Oh,
really.
you've just been working from home, eh?
Pretty much. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
just
so-
been business as usual. My end. So,
Yeah,
Yeah. Just
Um,
editing lessons. Putting out photos of nice drums that we've just had in the shop. So
and it segues beautifully into today's topic.
it does. Yeah.
I wanted to talk about social media.
Which is interesting to me because before I started working here, for those of you who don't know, Chris, more or less, I think it was a combination between you and Paul who did all
It
the
was
shop
kind of-
socials.
It was so disjointed.
Right.
Obviously, when Rosie was here, she was in charge of a lot of that.
Yeah.
But then when Rosie left, it was kind of up to sort of Paul and I again, and or
Yeah.
sort of anyone who, you know, when say it was Liam and Tony that worked on a Sunday, probably Liam would have taken care of it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it was just kind of up to anybody. But it was really fragmented.
Yeah. Which is also difficult as well if you've had someone who's doing it and then that person then leaves and it's just like, okay, now we all need to chip in. There's no like one clear voice.
Exactly. And I guess this is a question for you then, is sort of how important is tone, on consistent tone
Yeah.
of your social media?
Well, it's really. I mean, I was about to say it's really interesting. For a lot of people, it might not be very interesting, right? But for me, I geek out about this kind of stuff. So, I guess like back about 10 years ago when Facebook was still in its kind of infancy and all that, like everyone was very prim and proper, and everyone was like I think about it like car salesmen and all that. It's like, if you would like to buy this car, please visit this link here. Whereas nowadays, because people, again, they know what social media is, they know about all the kind of ins and outs of it now. There's people who have a job, myself included, that is their job to learn how to do these things. It can be a bit more kind of colloquial in that way. Like you can kind of talk to people like you would in person. Like, and you can also, there's a lot of like meme culture, like you can reference things, like pop culture is massive as well. Like a lot of people use that. I try and use that a lot in our socials posts, because for me at the end of the day, I prefer following something that feels like it's an actual real person. Like, it's why I try most of the time, if people comment on anything, I try and respond to it, because then it's not just something that's like a bot account that's just there uploading photos of drums and that's it. There's no interaction there. When people respond, all of a sudden there's a human interaction there. Someone's actually had to receive that message back, you know. They've had to actually have a response, call and response. So I think it's really interesting just how it's evolved, certainly over time.
I mean,
Tones are so important.
Yeah, and I think that was when, before you came on board, that there was a period of, you know, we don't specifically like rules in here. We never really have been hard and fast about how things go, because the nature of the business is so flexible.
Yeah.
But we had to put in place certain things, you know, like maybe Paul was going to only answer certain, or only going to post certain things, or the format of the post had to look like this, and this, so that it was at least consistent.
Yeah.
You know, things like what people don't really think about in here is the angle of the drums when you set them up for a photograph has to be the same, or as
consistent at least.
And reflective of personality, you know. So that was really tough to get right, man. I don't have the best relationship with social media, I'll say that up front. Like, I don't really like it.
Yeah.
Certainly Facebook at the moment, I'm very rarely on it now.
Sure.
Instagram I like a lot more, because it's kind of hit and run.
Yeah.
You know, and I think Facebook has just become this kind of weird echo chamber.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's all just bad news on Facebook as well. A lot of the time,
I guess so. But I guess where I was going to go with that was, how do you get through the noise?
It's tough. It's really tough, because you I say this to a lot of people, especially with videos, and it will break your heart. Like, social media, like for me, it sounds like a sob story. Wah wah wah, boo hoo me. But you could spend like all day like editing a video that you think is a masterpiece, and you're literally at the mercy of someone swiping past it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, that's where it can get, that's the mental side of it. That's where it can get really tough mentally, because you just think, especially, it's maybe not, it's water off a duck's back, especially when you put it in context of a shop. But if you're, like I'm sure we're going to talk about, like people who just upload on their Instagram or Facebook, and it's solely for them, like it's like their business as like a musician, or in their case a drummer. Obviously drummers are musicians, whatever. But like something like that can be really disheartening. Do you know what I mean? And obviously there's a lot of hate culture and all that online.
Cancel culture.
Cancel culture. Yeah, people getting woke. Is another one. Anyway, but to get through the noise, like, it's just, there's things you can do to kind of manipulate it, but ultimately you are just literally at the mercy of someone swiping past what you've put up.
Yeah.
You know? You need that first either thumbnail or photo to be as grabbing as possible.
Yeah, I mean, that was something we didn't even consider before you came on board. Is like the thumbnail has to be ace. Things like subtitles. Yeah. You know, because people don't even watch with the sound on now.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
You know, because they might be on the bus.
Yeah.
And they don't want to play a drum video or an interview.
Or even if they are on the bus and they've got headphones in, they might be listening to a tune.
Yeah.
Or a song or a podcast. Like this one.
Yeah,
subscribe, please. Like and subscribe. But you're right, like people just you almost have to make it as easy as possible to interact with your stuff. Which is why on Instagram things like captions and all that are a huge thing. Like some people, it depends on what you like. I like to tell a little bit of a story on the captions, because I think it draws people, or at least it gives them as much information as they can. And it's all about different strategies as well. So I'll do something different for Facebook is what I'll do for Twitter, or what I'll do for Instagram, all that. They all have their own strategy. Right. Or at least I view it as, like, when I got given the role of this job, I viewed each platform differently. Like, you can't, even though most of the content that goes up is the same, the way it's put up is going to change from platform to platform.
Is that on purpose?
It is on purpose, yeah, because certain platforms don't work the same way.
Right.
So, for example, everybody knows this, you can't put a website link in a Instagram description.
It really winds me up when people try.
Yeah.
Like, haven't you learned?
Exactly.
Why are you not getting any clicks?
But that's where it comes into, people just don't know any better, they're just doing it just because it's, we need to have an Instagram account, let's just do the exact same thing as what we do on Facebook. But it's just not going to work the same. Like, physically, it's not going to work the same. Right. That's why there's different platforms. If they all work the same, they just have one big social media platform and that'd be it. Yeah. But they don't. So it's just knowing how to work each platform to your advantage. So, like, you can put links on Facebook for us, if we're promoting a kit, we can put a link literally to the website, which is in the description, sorted. Or if we do a boosted post, we can put it in an advertisement, all that kind of, you can go down that rabbit hole. On Facebook, you can do that, and they can link it to Instagram. And Instagram is different because the window is so small on the caption that if you're sandwiched between two posts, that you have literally about, I used to know it down to the characters, how many characters you would be able to have before it says that dreaded see more. And that's not dreaded see more, I say that wrong, see more. But if you like, I like to have a title line that draws people in, so that's where you can get creative with it. It's not just like, look at this nice drum kit. Like, it could be like, I sometimes quite like reference Star Wars, or I reference Marvel, or just because it's things I like, and I think that I know that people get, because it's ingrained in pop culture, like a Wayne's World reference or something like that. If it relates to what it is I'm showcasing, so like say it's a kit, I don't know, and it's like got a specific finish name that is also tied to something else. Anyway, we're maybe going down a bit of a rabbit hole here, but anyway, the point is, I try and make it as grabbing as possible so that people at the very least look at it. You know, because otherwise, if you're just putting up a kit and that's it, people are just going to like, oh yeah, that's cool. Next.
Do you think, like, I mean, I know the answer to this question, so I don't even know why I'm asking it, but can you imagine any business not having it now?
Oh no, I think,
because the one of the reasons I don't like it so much, or there's a couple of reasons. In our instance, it's very different. What I was going to say is, I think, like, everything is for sale now.
Yeah.
Obviously, everything's for sale in here because it's a shop.
Yeah.
But personally, it feels like everything's for sale. And I don't really agree with that. You know, I don't really like some things shouldn't. Some things should be a wee bit more personal. I guess if you have control over it, if you have control of what you post and stuff.
Yeah.
But I feel like everybody just posts everything out.
Well, that's the thing. Everybody, I think, in terms of socials, before I worked for Drummers Only, like I was effectively still in that mindset, because if you're not selling drums like we are, you're selling yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially in the days now of the Rona, everyone's now having to sell themselves online, and it was like that before Rona, but like everyone's now looked at social media and went, oh, like guys who maybe weren't interested in it 5 months ago are now like, right, I need to now do it. You know, Mike Johnson even said that. Like Mike Johnson said, I've had so many DMs recently about people asking me about video camera setup.
Yeah, he's been doing videos on video cameras.
Yeah, exactly. And he's like, bro, like, where were you 2 years ago? Do you know what I mean? When I was telling you, get into this now. Like,
yeah, but the other thing I don't like about it so much is that not everything's based on merit.
Yeah, it's like very like...
So people will get things that, you know, that someone who is better perhaps or more suited is overlooked.
Yeah.
Just because their social media game isn't as good. You know, I think that's really weird.
I know.
It's just a strange time to live in for all that stuff, you know.
Yeah.
It's sort of, it's all consuming as well. Like, do you put your phone down?
Really?
You know that? Do you know what I mean?
You should see my screen time, man. It's not healthy. Like sometimes,
Yeah.
but that's partly because of work as well. So you need to, you know, that's you factor in like that. But you're right. Like it's just everything. You just, it's really funny. You're right. Like you could quite easily, literally spend every minute of your day just scrolling on Instagram. You know, if you follow enough people, you could literally be there the full day, and you'll always see something new.
Yeah.
Which is frightening. And that's before you've even like went to the Discover page to find things that are related to the things that you like. Yeah. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're totally right.
I had to actually stop following hashtags.
Yeah.
Because people hashtag things that aren't necessarily related to what they're posting about. And I'm like, why am I seeing this? You know, it's very strange. I'm still finding my feet actually with it all. Well, how long's Instagram been out now? Like 5, 6 years, 7 years, something like that. You know? Yeah, it's very, very strange. There's people getting gigs that way now, eh?
Big time. Well, I mean, we had Eddie Thrower on. That's how he got the Busted gig.
Yeah.
You know, just a DM on his Instagram.
Craig Blundell, that's how he got the Stephen Wilson gig. Stephen Wilson had been following his Facebook for ages. And, you know, Craig Blundell is a great exception to the kind of everything's bad news, because he's always super positive.
Sure, yeah.
And he's always putting out really great content. How do you decide what's content and what's not? Because, like, a picture of a sandwich to me is not content. Yeah. You know, certainly not for us. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
So how do you decide like what's content, what's worthy, and what's not? You know.
That's a good question, Christopher. I'll refer you to my social media handbook here that is completely imaginary. I don't know. For me in here, I think I know if something's really nice, like an SQ2, right? 9 times out of 10, if we get an SQ2 in the shop, it's the only one of that kit in the world. Yeah. So I'm always a huge advocate of getting that out there to the world, because people need to see that.
Absolutely.
Like, do you know what I mean? Whether people want to buy it or not, it's whatever. Something like that doesn't exist anywhere else. So, firstly, I'll maybe, if it was, in case in point in here, I'll look at things on the shop floor that I think, what's interesting about that? What's nice about that? More often than not, it's either the finish or the gimmick that it has with it. Right. Or if Paul's maybe said there's like some sort of offer on this, like something that draws attention to it, not just purely because it's a set of drums. Do you know what I mean? Because you could just put any set of drums on and that's it. Do you know what I mean? You could get, like, if you hashtag it right, you'll get 1 million likes on it. But it's not the point. Like, I always try and pick out stuff that's particularly maybe people aren't aware of that we have. Right. Because I mean, you know what it's like in here. Like, you can't just walk around the shop and show everybody every single kit of drums.
No, and you know, like as an 8-inch drumhead content.
No, exactly.
You know what I mean?
There's things that you can be very choosy over. This is where you have to get quite crafty with it. For me, anyway. Like, I'll maybe, if it's say a drumhead, right? A drumhead you and I both know is not the most exciting thing to see on Instagram. But it's more about how it's presented to you. So that's where, because we've been in a position, I'll be like, Chris, can you hold these for a second and just do something daft with your face? Like, it might not be the most like creative, like storyboard, like producing it for months photo, but it's like something that's like, it breaks up the monotony of just like, this is a drum kit, this is a drum head, this is a cymbal. You know, like I've always, or maybe more recently now, I've tried to get more people involved in the photos, because I think
like
that
staff or customers.
Yeah, like staff.
Right.
So like obviously we do the staff photo, the customer photos as well, with people who've came in who have maybe seen something for a while, or they've tried out something. We like to kind of make a feature of people who come in the shop. You know, that's just always, it's always been like that, certainly before I started. But even that like, I was thinking about it, like, if I was a first time visitor of the shop, I would already feel 100% more comfortable knowing that when I go in that shop, I know the faces I'm going to see before I see them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's fascinating.
You've had it sometimes before as well. You've had people know you off, like, I don't know, like just literally off our live videos.
Absolutely,
because they've just seen you. You're the guy in the drum shop.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They instantly have a rapport with you before they've even met you.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, we get people like hitting us up sometimes, just like, or like if even in person. Like I had it one time randomly. Me and Amy, my missus, were out shopping, and we would just decided we wanted a Millie's cookie. Other cookies are available. And the guy behind the counter was just like, "Oh, I know you. You work in Drummers Only, don't you?"
Did you get a free cookie?
I didn't actually. So, sort it out.
Yeah, more Millie's cookies.
We are waiting. So yeah. So anyway, the point is, like, he's like, "Oh yeah, I've seen like you guys on Facebook," or can't remember exactly what he said, but the point is he was like, "I'm actually been thinking about a new kit, man."
Right.
And I was like, "Well, come on in." Do you know what I mean? Because they already feel like they know you before they come in the shop, and I think that's cool. super important to build that anyway. Because otherwise, you're just another like account on Facebook or
totally.
Instagram just posting about drums.
Yeah,
and I think the personality, kind of to bring this a full circle, like when you're talking about tone, is so important. We've never taken ourselves overly seriously when it comes to that stuff. The content I put out, I want to match that. You know what I mean? It's why I try and like make videos that we put out or posts in a way humorous, because that's just how I enjoy it. That's how I consume it. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's it. The hard part of it is when you have one voice, you're then almost relying on that voice to portray an image of a whole shop, a whole brand. You know, so that could be sometimes quite a difficult balance to get right. Right. Because what you might see as, oh, this could be quite funny, it's like, well, no, this particular thing, I can't think of an example off the top of my head.
No,
but
I get what you're saying. You know,
do you know what I mean?
Like, and that's why I think why we've never really been hard and fast with rules.
Yeah.
Because the context actually determines probably the content.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? So, where you think it's funny, it might not actually be funny, or it might be just so, like, it's just so attached to what you understand about it that other folk are just like, nah.
Yeah.
Know,
but it's a learning thing as well, man. So like before I started working with you guys, I was very heavily invested in my own social media.
Well, I was going to talk to you about that, you know.
All right, okay.
Because your social media game was amazing. That was one of the things that sort of led us to you. It was your social media games. Like, this wee guy's got like all these followers. Like, bro's got like 20,000. It was like, how many was it? Some 14,000 followers or something at one point.
Peaked at just under 17,000.
Wow.
And then I just kind of stopped posting on it. So
right.
But a lot of I actually I know we can swear on this, but I got a lot of shit for that, a lot, because people just automatically assume that if you're not an endorsed Zildjian artist or like a pure touring drummer, that if you've got all these likes, that you've bought them all.
Wow.
Truth is, I never, and I never, to this day, I've never spent a penny.
So what happened? Like, how did it grow? Because was it organic, or did it happen quickly? Or
again, to kind of relate it back to the shop, and I guess to anyone listening who is still listening, because they're not bored,
because it's no about snare drum.
Exactly. By the way, buy the new SQ2. So I guess the thing that I've said to everybody, because people used to message me privately asking all this kind of stuff, and even to an extent, Paul was kind of like, Paul obviously seen that I could do it. And the one thing I always tell people is the consistency. Right. The consistency outweighs everything, because what's the point in trying to promote yourself as an active musician if there's, like, you put out a post of you playing and then there's nothing for 3 months?
Sure.
You know what I mean? Granted, in the times of the Rona, things are very different, and I would completely understand if people are like that, get that, but the consistency overrules everything. So if you have I used to do it. I used to put up loads of videos, but I would purposely make sure, not even just making sure I put one out every day, but putting it out at the same time, putting it out with the same tone, like we're talking about, all of that stuff, and just the problem is like everything. People want overnight success. People want it to happen now.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, the hard part is the actual grind of it, doing it regularly. It's why when I started working here, doing posts like 3 or whatever posts in a day, it didn't bother me because it's just what I was doing anyway. It's just it's just the context of it was slightly different.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's still the same fabric, still the same consistency of it. Because otherwise, if you don't have that consistency, then people are just, it's like real life people. If you're not always in people's faces, are going to forget about you.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I in many ways I maybe went a bit too hardcore with it, and sometimes I think I'm like, man, that was crazy. Like there'd be times I'd be up to like 2 o'clock in the morning editing a 30-second video that would go out at like 7 in the morning. Do you know what I mean? Because that's when I would get up for work and things.
Wow.
But in my mind at that point in time, I was so focused. I was like, this is, and especially when the numbers started to grow following wise, that's when I was like, right, okay, this is actually a deal now. This is a big deal to me anyway. But it's being consistent with it, and then that can also be quite unhealthy sometimes.
Well, then it becomes about maintenance.
Exactly, yeah. It becomes like, what I noticed, especially near the end, was that it was just the fun had kind of went out of it.
Sure.
So it was getting to the point in my head I was just ticking a box.
Right.
You know? Whereas when I first started doing it, like, it was like, this is fun, and like learning how to do all the hashtagging kind of stuff. Like, I didn't go to school or anything like that. There's probably actually people listening to this who have learned marketing and things like that. Like, I studied university for years, and like I just learned a formula that works.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? For me anyway, and like I like to think that it works for the shop as well. But it's really, really difficult, man. It's like, I think a lot of the time people just can't be bothered. They want all the reward with no risk.
Yeah,
does that make sense? Do you know what I mean?
I think that's sort of runs through life in general at the moment.
Totally, I know, totally.
You know, having taught drums before.
Aye.
And seen people come in and be like, did you practice? Nah.
Yeah.
Well, that's why we're still doing last week's lesson then. You know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I just don't know that I would have the patience for it. I think that's why I struggle with it, you know, because after a while I just get super frustrated that I'm looking at a screen.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not interacting with Gail or you know, I now have Hannah where it's like, and I swear to God, man, I've got to check myself all the time because I realise that I haven't paid her any attention in like 30 minutes and she's starting to get cranky and it's like, oh, maybe I should interact with my child because her brain's developing.
Exactly, yeah.
You know, and she needs to see my face and all that kind of stuff. You know?
Of course. And this is actually quite interesting for me because this sounds weird, but to me it sounds weird. It might not sound weird when it comes out loud, but then I have a tendency to make things sound worse than what they actually are. It's actually nice now knowing that doing social media is my job. Like, it's nice that I know that at 5 or 6 o'clock, like, I don't actually need to worry about it.
Yeah, for sure.
When it was my own stuff, like, that's, in my mind, that was like being self-employed. It was constant.
All consuming, yeah.
So like, if I put out a video at 7 o'clock in the morning, like, I'd be watching that video the full day, like, just to see how it's in reacting with people, how people are responding with it, engaging with it, all that kind of thing. And it was like, man, there's actually no downtime for this.
Yeah.
So you're right, like, and things like that, like, that's where you really need to kind of check it.
Yeah.
I'm quite fortunate in the position of, like, I can put out stuff on the socials and I can kind of not forget about it, but like, I don't need to watch it to let it do its thing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Do you think all that's changed with things like schedule posts?
Big time, yeah.
You know, because I don't think at that time you could do that, could you? You couldn't schedule posts in the same way.
It's not, again, this is where it was a learning curve for me. Instagram's a nightmare for that kind of stuff. You can't schedule on Instagram. Or like, you can, but it requires a different software that you need to pay for and all that kind of thing. But if you want to just do it on like the download or like or free or just whatever. But Facebook's great for that. So if I have a certain amount of things that I want to put out, then if I'm like, okay, I'll plan it, because sometimes, like you said at the very start, like, people just want to put everything out straight away, and that's it, and expect people to be able to consume that straight away. But I like to kind of break things up in a week, so I'll spread things out. If I know I've got like 6 things that I want to talk about this week, I'll spread them out, and like the Facebook scheduling thing is really handy for that. It also means that because we also are a working shop, that I'm not having to worry about putting something out if I'm dealing with a customer or anything like that. I can't exactly say to someone, can you wait 2 seconds till I put out a Facebook post? Do you know what I mean? It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
So things like that are huge and so helpful as well, because then it doesn't feel like you're having to run around all day and like.
Yeah, and then you can do a week's post in 3 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
And just schedule them for for whenever you need them to go out.
Exactly, and it's just at that point it just becomes a case of keeping on top of the content.
Yeah.
Things like that, like what do I want to do this week? Okay, what do I want to do next week? And maybe need to start thinking about that now. Like if we want to put out a video, like a kind of comical video about a snare drum or something, like I'll start planning that like maybe a week before or like a couple of weeks before, just to make sure we have, firstly, everything we need to film it, the time to film it, the space to film it. Yeah. Like if I need people to come in early or late or whatever, just to do something, like it's stuff like that. It's all the other things you need to think about in between.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. Now, I remember a wee while ago, someone asked me to dep for them, and then was like, "Do you have any videos of yourself playing?" Like, I really struggle to film myself playing. I've never been very good at any of that kind of stuff, which is probably why I struggle with social media and probably why I don't like it. But I was like, is that where we're at now? Like, 3 people have told you I'm capable, but you still want a video?
Sure. It's become the new CV, man, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, apparently.
Yeah.
You know, apparently it has, you know, which was really weird to me, really alien, you know, because I've never really, it never happened to me until that point. Normally people are like, yeah, he's fine, man, he'll rock on up, he'll be fine.
Yeah.
You know, but it was like, oh, okay. Yeah. Cool, I guess I better find something.
Exactly, yeah, and it's like, I think that's what's great about it, like, it levels the playing field to an extent, because
well this is the thing I was talking about, when not necessarily everything's based on merit, because I'm not sure it does, because I think you get the best of you.
Yeah.
I mean,
right.
So like someone's taking 40 goes to film a minute.
Yeah.
You don't get 40 goes when you're out doing the job.
No, not at all.
So, and you don't get anybody's personality. So your personality on social media can be wildly different from how you actually are as a human being, because you spend so much time interacting with a camera, you don't know how to interact with a person.
Yeah, that's it. That's totally it.
You know, and I think that's where I really, like, I don't get this, man. Like, I don't get how to navigate my way through this. You know, I find it really strange.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's a really, really difficult one, because, like, you see, I kind of had those preconceptions about Mike Johnson before we had him in.
Right.
But he's, from what I got from Mike Johnson anyway, he's the exact same person off camera as what he is on.
Yeah, that's
just
maybe
swears a bit more.
Because he's like an actual functioning human being, and you know he's not 15, so he's not come up like, well, you know, he's not come up in a world where he hasn't been able to interact. He's actually he knows how to have a conversation. So
yeah,
you know, he's practiced enough at that, so that when he does meet you, he can talk to you, you know. Yeah. But I wonder if the younger generation, because I'm so old, you know, are going to have a difficulty ordering a sandwich.
Sure.
You know, because they're so used to, you know, they can't look you in the eye because all they do is talk through a phone.
Sure.
It's weird, you know.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Like, yeah, absolutely. You know, absolutely. If you could have done it, or if you could do anything differently with how you used to do it versus how you do it now, what would you change about it? Would you change anything? You might not change anything.
I don't know that I would necessarily change anything overly. Like I do, like what you said about a snapshot is really interesting. I kind of wanted to speak about that a little bit, because you're totally right, and everybody's guilty of it. I was absolutely guilty of it. If something, I would sometimes throw stuff in a gig that I maybe shouldn't have, but I knew that I was filming it.
Right.
And sometimes that would land, sometimes it wouldn't. Thankfully, the band I play with are very receptive of it, and they were so pro it.
Right.
But it's times you need to check yourself. I guess it would be, if there was one thing, I would be like, no, I would maybe not focus on it so much, which I know sounds totally counterproductive to what we've just spoke about. But I remember one gig in particular, I was more concerned about changing the battery in my camera than getting the song right.
Yeah, that's pretty mental.
And like, I remember the song in particular started with a huge keyboard intro, and I was more thinking in my head, right, I've got time to change out the battery in the camera. It's sitting at the perfect angle. I'll just do that quickly just now. The band use an on-stage microphone to talk to the rest of the band through their in-ears. And keyboard player was like, man, what are you doing? Like, we're about to start the song. And at that point, I realised, like, wait a minute, I'm depping here.
Aye.
I'm actually, like, I've got a job to do.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, this is more, I'm getting paid right now to do a job right now. This is more important right now. So, I know it wasn't, like, a huge deal. Like, I maybe it made it sound like a bigger deal than what it actually was, but it's maybe, it actually got me thinking for the rest of the set. I was like, man, like, I know it's not a huge deal, but that's, like, if I didn't know these guys as well as I do, if I was on just, like, a random dep gig with a band I didn't really know, and I pulled something like that, that's going to cost me work.
Yeah, absolutely. You know
what I mean?
And this is what I think, this is what I'm talking about, you know, like, is the focus too much on that than actual life skills?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, but then there's also the flip side to it is that, and I love the guys that run it, the jiu-jitsu school I go to has, like, very little social media game. And I think it would really benefit from having a good presence, because I think it would elevate the club, and it would elevate Scott, who teaches it, as being recognised as being really great, you know, and that kind of thing. And I wonder, I assume he's just happy for it to be the way it is because it's his thing. But you know, there's some instances where it would really, you know, even just like someone like you who does, I don't know, an hour a day on it, you know, to just lift the game a wee bit, you know, and just kind of make it that little bit stronger.
Sure, yeah.
No?
I mean, that's like, it takes time, but once you're in a flow of it, it's become so much easier because you've then got that consistent tone, consistent vibe. This is why, like, if I know I'm going to be off, like, I try and kind of leave a blueprint to kind of follow for you guys as well, because then it just keeps up the consistency.
Do you use templates?
Sometimes, not often. Like, I'll kind of look at the end of a week. So if I come in on a Monday and I look at, like, the Instagram grid, I'll look at it and I'm like, okay, what done well here, what didn't, what's been going really well, what's going to be consistent. So, like, from the past, like, I think 18 weeks or something like that, one of the first posts that go out in a week is a lesson from Katie, because I think that's just, like, I've always thought, like, that kind of thing since we started doing it is like, okay, first thing in the morning, here's a brand new lesson that you can work on for the whole week.
Sure.
Done. And those seem to be going really well, and, like, Katie's, obviously, her personality comes across really well on camera, stuff like that's great. If I maybe see a post that hasn't done so well, I'll be like, okay, well, maybe I'll try that again, but put a different spin on it.
Right. Do you like to make sure the grid has variety?
Yeah. Oh, I think variety is super important, man, because if you don't have variety, then, again, like I keep saying, you're just going to be like every other kind of account.
Even on a personal level, how many times have you scrolled through and it's just a selfie?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
pictures of someone's face over and over. Like, I've seen my own grid and like, oh, there's like 4 selfies.
Yeah. I think we spoke about this, okay, like, not in the podcast, about it's all about what you want to make of your social media. It's why, like, I'm that guy who has 2 Instagram accounts, because I have one that I think is for my drums, and that's if you want to see me playing drums and you want to talk to me about drums or anything, like, that's where to do it.
Right.
But I also have a private Instagram that I have for, like, sharing family photos with other family and, like, you know, like, friends from school or friends from college or whatever, because I want that separation.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's all about what you're using it for. So if like, for some people it might be they want it all in one place, and it's like, oh, one day I'll put up a photo of my face, next day I'll put up a photo of me playing drums, like, whatever. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. Like,
absolutely.
There isn't that. The reason why there's so many social media managers for companies is because there is a loose blueprint, but there's no rules. There's things, like, that you absolutely can and can't do, like, on a, like, programming level, on, like, an actual, like, you can't do that in the software because the software won't let you. But like, really, the rules are just endless. Or not endless, sorry. The rules are not there. They're non-existent. In my opinion.
Yeah. It's all fascinating. I wonder where it's going to go, man. Like, things like our attention span's going to change for people because they can't, you know, they're not used to seeing anything more than a minute. Yeah. They don't want to click the IGTV.
That's already happening, man. That's already happening. Like,
TikTok and everything.
I learned very quickly when I was doing stuff of my own that no one would watch a minute long of a video if if nothing happens within the first 15 seconds, it's like noteworthy. What I mean by that is, if you take a video that Katie's done, well, that's kind of not purposely. Sorry to break the illusion for everyone, but that's edited in a way that keeps the attention there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it'll zoom in sometimes, it'll backtrack back out. If you just have a standard, this is where I guess I would maybe put more effort into the videos that I would put out if I were to change anything, because if it's just a minute of someone playing drums and it's just that same angle, and unless something drastic happens in the video, like, I don't know, the fucking bass drum blows up or something like that, or I don't know, but like, no one's gonna watch it all.
Yeah.
Again, you're just kind of like, oh, that's cool, swipe, gone, and then that's your whole day's work gone. So keeping it engaging, keeping it fresh like that, keeping something that's always going to grab attention is important. As for where it's going to go, lots of people are obviously going live these days. So, and in varying different ways. Like, you've now got, like, I think you used to be able to do it on Facebook before, but now you can obviously do it on Instagram.
Yeah.
You can do it on YouTube. You can do it whatever way you want.
I mean, that was a huge thing for us.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that was the thing.
Facebook Live was a huge thing, you know, for ages, you know, for a long time, you know, 5 at 5 and all that, when we started all that, you know.
Yeah. And again, that was like, sorry to cut in, but that's like, that adds to your consistency, because even we get customers coming in now going like, he's doing a video. Like, I remember one time, do you remember this? We had a customer phone us as we were about to go live, asking if we're going live.
Yeah. It became a deal for people, you know.
Exactly.
Their Friday night at 5 o'clock. And then, like, where are you? It's 5:30 and you're not there. And like, well, there's someone in the shop, man.
Exactly.
We can't always...
And like, you can actually see that in some of the videos. Have you watched some of the live videos back?
I've watched some of them back. Yeah,
I have as well, and it's quite funny, like, because you can absolutely tell if it's like only 2 of us in the shop and a customer comes in. We're like, okay,
right,
we're in the
and like, are we in sync?
Yeah.
You know, who's going to deal with the customer and who's going to talk rubbish to a phone?
Yeah.
Which is very strange.
To
like just face a phone and talk to it, you know?
Well, I think about that from a customer's perspective. Like,
right.
They walk in midway through a live video.
Yeah, we've had people freak out.
Have you? Yeah. Really?
Yeah, we've had people like, oh, I don't want to be on the internet. Like, it's okay, you won't be on the internet.
Yeah,
you
don't worry about it.
I'm not going to put you on the internet without your permission, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, like, take the customer away, or whoever's doing the video goes to the opposite end of the shop.
Yeah.
And it might have disrupted the entire narrative flow of what we wanted to talk about, but the customer trumps all that, you know.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, we've had people be a bit weird about it, you know. We've had people embrace it and be like, bring me in, and you know, have a laugh, and they're happy enough to be involved in it. But yeah, it's a very delicate balance.
Yeah, it's a hard one to get right. That's why if someone makes a purchase in the shop and we ask them if they want to do a shop photo, it's completely optional, because we only asked them because people eventually started asking us if they could get a photo.
Yeah, for sure.
And you're right, some people are just like, no, I'd rather not, thanks. Which is, again, like some people I think feel quite guilty when they say, no, I don't want a photo. It's that's fine, it's no problem, it's completely optional, no worries.
Absolutely. But I mean, that's in a whole other spectrum to talk about, in it. It's permissions and
totally,
and all that stuff. You know, I've got a child now, so like, you know, she doesn't get I guess it's my consent or Gail's consent until she's 16 or something.
Yeah, exactly.
To put my child on the internet, you don't have permission. You know,
yeah.
I don't necessarily want to have her face around it all the time. You know, because I don't know that it's healthy for children to be around social media all that much. You know, like 10-year-olds with Instagram profiles. I'm not sure if I'm on board with that yet. By the time she's 10, I don't know what it's going to look like.
Yeah, exactly.
That's going to be a whole different thing. You know. But yeah, it's very strange with all that, you know, especially when customers come in with kids. Like, do we have your kid? Do you want your kid in this? You know, like, that's a really delicate balance you've got to find, you know. And there's, you know, not to be conspiratory, but, you know, facial recognition software and all that is a huge thing now for people. They don't want their face on the internet because, you know, you're on a camera how many times a day now? When you walk down the street through Glasgow city centre, you're on every 10 yards or something, you'll be on a camera somewhere, whether it's a shop camera or a street camera or a bus camera. Or
even when you're paying for stuff in Sainsbury's, you're on a camera as well. I mean, obviously that's security, but like...
Yeah, but that's what I'm getting at. You know, you're on a camera every
every
10
few seconds
or something, you know.
You could even argue, to get really down the conspiracy rabbit hole, that every time you hold your phone up to your face, you're on.
Yeah, you know, people do talk about it. You know, has your webcam come on while you're on the internet? You know, and
I was
you watch Black Mirror, man, and
it's dark.
There's some really dark stuff going on.
I was one of those guys. I did tape the camera on my laptop. Yeah,
my pal did it as well.
Yeah,
I just don't believe I'm that interesting. You know, why would anybody want to watch me up just watching jiu-jitsu videos or something?
Yeah,
you know, like there's nothing to see here, big man. You know, you're just going to see photos of me and Gail in the background while I'm like watching technique videos or something, watching like VF jams. You know,
yeah,
you know
that. That guy's really grooving there.
I totally just like I'm not building anything in the house. You know.
Yeah. Do you know what I would love to see in the shop actually? Because we don't see it all too often, but I would love to see folk actually coming in like filming their life.
I've seen it.
Have you seen it?
I've seen people come in, film in the shop.
Brilliant.
And I think they've been on. There was a young guy, Liam, I think is his name, did a whole video diary of his trip to the shop one day.
So he did. That's
which
right.
Which is on YouTube, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Like from leaving his house.
Yeah.
To getting home.
Yeah.
Videoed the whole experience. Like he sped up the bus journey. He filmed like the whole bus journey and sped it up. Like.
That was Liam Swan, wasn't it?
Liam Swan.
Shout out to Liam Swan.
Yeah, it was like, man, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty nice.
On his YouTube channel and all that.
Yeah.
Like, that's
because
really
remember we just found it in the shop.
Just like came across it one day, like, whoa,
that's really cool.
Why have you not told us, bro? Pair of sticks to Liam.
Totally.
But yeah, there's people have come in and the guys that are girls that have made a trip from down south. They filmed the selfie at the front of the shop, capturing the whole shop, or the outside and all that. Yeah, I've seen it a few times. You know, bands on tour do it a lot. If they come in and they're on the road.
Exactly, and stuff like that for me as the kind of social media kind of manager, like marketing person for the shop. Stuff like that's great because it helps to add that familiarity. Thank you. Because then it just again it helps people feel like they know you again before they just walk in the shop.
Well, to me, it tells me that they're having a good time.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, they value coming here, which is amazing.
Exactly.
You know?
That's what we've always set out to do. Just make it as relatable as possible.
Yeah, I think so. Just how many of 5 dudes in a drum store?
Basically,
they like talking rubbish about heads and bearing edges and all that stuff. You know, it's a really fascinating game. You know, really fascinating game. Do you use anything like TikTok?
I've dabbled in it,
right?
Only because
I
dabble in the TikTok, only because Amy was really into it at the very start of lockdown. Like she was doing all the TikTok challenges and all that.
Is that like when you dance and you say like you do film lines and stuff?
Yeah.
One of Gail's pals does it. She makes herself up like a film character. So she made herself up like Bowie and sang like a Bowie song. Like super amazing. You know. She did one as Dory from Finding Nemo.
Oh, that's cool.
And was doing the TikTok to Dory. You know, so that kind of stuff's pretty mental.
Yeah.
Do you think it has any value for something like this?
I think there's certainly. Truthfully, I've not explored it enough to know.
I mean, because I don't know what you're going to get from holding a snare drum and doing a film quote.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Again, it's something I would like to experiment with, definitely. It's finding the time as well.
Yeah, I think it's just a laugh.
It's like some of them are, to be fair, some of the TikToks I have seen are some of them are pretty outstanding.
Yeah.
Again, like Gail's pal is obviously taken. Wow. Taken. Brilliant movie.
Full of a toucan.
A lot of time to obviously make that.
Well, she's also a makeup artist.
Okay.
So it's relevant to her business.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and she's got no clients currently.
Yeah.
Because she can't go and paint people's faces. You know, but you know, I don't know that we can do anything on TikTok with drums. You know, so
I'm gonna say challenge accepted.
Okay, TikTok challenge. You heard it here first, everyone.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, I mean, what other platforms are there? Twitter, I guess, is just...
There's Twitter, there's Snapchat, which has kind of died now because... Facebook bought it, so they more or less like took the concept of SatNav. That's now what Facebook stories and Instagram stories are. That's basically just the model of Snapchat,
Oh, but I thought the whole thing with Snapchat was it was there and gone and you couldn't see it again.
That's what I'm saying, they took the model of it though, but it's like that kind of selfie... portrait thing. It's not exactly the same,
right?
Obviously,
I see.
But again, it kind of is because an Instagram story only lasts for 24 hours.
Right. Okay. But
So
you can highlight them. Because they're
highlight
still
them.
there. You can still get them.
You can highlight them, but like if you don't highlight it, then
Yeah.
it's there and gone.
Mhm.
You know. There's obviously TikTok. There's ones that I think are just really obscure. Like, I don't know if you spend much time on Reddit.
I don't. A couple of mates do.
Yeah.
I don't know that Reddit's a social media platform the same way. It feels like it's just a forum to me.
It's basically a giant internet forum that folk talk about everything.
Yeah.
That's why for us, like, is what would be the point?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's no point.
Where do you think there's a saturation point? Because how many accounts have you unfollowed in your life because it's just you just keep seeing too much?
I don't know if I've unfollowed account necessarily because it's been too much.
Right.
Oh well, I don't know. Man. I don't know.
Right. Okay.
I definitely think you can go far too far.
Yeah,
I sometimes think we go too far.
Right.
Maybe. But then it's thinking about the context of it all as well. So like,
I mean, we have that many followers now that they're all going to see it at different times because they're all over the world.
yeah, exactly.
You know. So who knows?
Who knows? I think you definitely can go far too hardcore with it at once. Because it does come across as quite spammy. That's all. I've always tried to avoid that as best I can. Because I just think if it was me, if I saw something relentlessly just at me, if it was all different stuff, then I maybe wouldn't be as bothered. But if it was all the same stuff all the time, then I'd be like, okay, this is a bit much. I'm out. Kind of thing. So yeah.
Cool, man.
I don't know if that answered the question.
No, it's just.
What was your thoughts behind it? Like, just like, has there been instances in your life where you felt people have been maybe
Oh, absolutely.
too
I've
much?
unfollowed like artist accounts and stuff where it's just like this is just constant, or it's like they're a bit a bit dark and a bit Debbie Downer all the time, and
Yeah.
like that's just, and I feel like sometimes it's all about, this is a bit, I'll try and be delicate, but it's a bit like all about ego.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just don't care.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's just too much.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm thinking about it too much. I don't know. But there's certainly accounts where I'm just like, I'm done.
Yeah.
You know, like I think Hayley Williams. I think for a while,
Mm-hmm.
like I can't follow you anymore, man.
Yeah.
You know, it was just constant.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is a bit bleak. You know.
Yeah. Totally.
Sorry to name names, but you know that's just the
No, totally.
like talking about artist stuff coming into my head, or you know.
Yeah, and it's like it's all about. I guess a lot of it's about the headspace you're in at the time as well. Like, there's certain people I follow because I know that if they put something up, it's gonna bring a bit of joy, or it's gonna make me laugh, or something. You know.
Yeah.
That's what I kind of try and take that approach to us in a way. Like,
Right.
I don't really like the whole serious video thing.
Yeah.
We do them with Jake and all that, which is fine. But I've always tried to have everything have a light-hearted spin on it, or like what I think would be a comical spin on it. Because I just think that's like people know what we are. Obviously, we're a shop, but like to try and make it as entertaining as you possibly can, or at least bleak. I mean, there's enough bleakness going on in the world. Do you know what I mean? Totally. Folk don't want to see their drum shop being the same.
No, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
And the same with people. Like if people are just like, oh, today was rubbish, and then the following day, oh yeah, today was rubbish.
Yeah,
as well.
I think those people shouldn't be on social media.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, because that's not very healthy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But anyway, I'm just curious to think: is there, is there too much for something like us? You know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
It's hard as like in the Glasgow kind of scene. Like, there's so many drummers that are on Instagram and they're all posting stuff out. Like, it's great. It's amazing. It can be obviously hard. What someone actually highlighted to me the other day, like, you know, I used to be guilty of it as well. You would do like the promoted posts or the sponsored posts on Instagram, and like it's quite funny. Like, a drummer promoting his video that will be seen by other drummers, and they were like, "Well, surely you want that to be seen by like, musicians, like
totally,
or like bands, not just other drummers."
Yeah.
Because then I guess like from there, what's it about? Are you trying to get a gig, or you try to get other drummers to see like, oh look how good I am in this.
And this is why I've always had trouble with it, because I just don't think people would care about the things I would have to post.
Yeah.
Like a video of me playing the drums, I don't think is all that fascinating or all that interesting, you know. So why would anybody want to watch it? That's how I've always thought about social media for myself, which is why I've never been very good at it, you know. And not in a pure like, no, what's me? No, I just don't think I'm that interesting to watch, man. You know? So I think you're right. It's a strange one, but you know.
I think I like it when you put up a video you playing. Like I think every so often it's quite cool. No, that sounded bad. I hate seeing you play. No, but I think it's good though, because like, I feel like what I learned in here is when you work in here, the only thing people actually see the people who work in here play drums is if they're demoing something for them. Really. Right. So I think from a customer perspective, because when I was a customer, I would like it if I seen like Big Dave putting up a video, or Tony when she was with us at the time putting up a video. Liam never really, which
it's not his game though. It's not his game. You know, but the other
I'm determined to see a video of him playing drums.
The other guys smash it though. Their quality, their content is pretty quality. You know.
Yeah.
Big Dave's videos recently have been amazing.
Yeah, it's been awesome.
You know, he's got a very definite road, like rock.
Yep.
You know, and he's not messing with that, and it's just. You know, talk about consistency. It's all been super consistent.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Yeah. So like, but I think from a customer perspective, again, to create that reliability and like realness, it's like, oh well, they're not just a guy trying to sell me something.
Yeah, totally.
They're like actually a working player as well.
I mean, I've like I put up on my Instagram yesterday that I've got Easy Drummer. That's over the course of spare time during COVID, I've got right into that. I think it's great. So I might, like, I've been writing and recording some music with some mates, so I'll maybe put that out, do a play along thing with that or something.
And I guess another way to look at it is how much you care really about what other people think of it. Because I know there's certainly a few accounts that I follow that just put stuff up and it's just there. If people interact with it or not, they more see it as a diary for themselves, right, rather than a people watching it diary. Does that make sense? Yeah. Because I got to that point after a while, I was just like, I'm just putting this video out because I want to. I don't care if anyone watches it or not. I want to like have something that I can at least look back on and be like, oh, like if it's like if I've learned how to do a fill or something like that, and I managed to catch it on video, I can look back and then be like, oh, cool, I managed to get that time or whatever or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Just use it as like a diary for yourself. I know loads of people who do that. Just use it as something to reference rather than people actually interacting with it. Yeah. If they interact with it, cool. If they don't, then whatever. Yeah.
I get it. Yeah. I get what you mean. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. I think I've just got nothing to say.
Fair enough.
You know, but once I've got something to say, I'll share it. You know.
Sometimes those are the most valued. Sometimes people just keep like open their mouth and let their belly rumble. For the sake of it.
Aye, totally. Speaking of social media, where can you find us on social media?
Oh well, I don't know. So you can obviously find us on Instagram at Drummers Only UK. That'd be really bad if the social media manager got the handle wrong, wouldn't it? Yeah. Start again. You can find us on Instagram, Drummers Only UK, at Drummers Only UK. Facebook, obviously, if you search for Drummers Only. Were you going to say something? You looked like you were going to say something there. No. You came like really close into the microphone. It's like, hello. Hello?
It was Wani.
Obviously, because of hashtag COVID-19, the shops are open, but we're open by appointment only. Yes. So make sure to head over to drummersonly.co.uk and choose the relevant store for you, whether that be Glasgow or Leeds. Book an appointment. Come and see us. We're currently open 6 days a week in both Glasgow and Leeds now, and appointments range from I think 12 till 5 Monday through Friday in Leeds, 10 till 5 on a Saturday only in Leeds, and in Glasgow is appointment wise is 10 till 5 every day.
Yeah, so 6 days a week.
6 days a week. Sorry. So make sure you book an appointment, come and see us. The reason we obviously want appointments is so we're as prepared for you.
Absolutely.
Keep everybody safe.
Yeah, please, if you are going to visit us, bring your own drumsticks. We can't give you samples to try anything with. We unfortunately can't offer any beverages at the moment, and the toilet is out of use. So please make sure you are both empty yet hydrated.
Yes.
Because we can't service those needs.
Yes.
So have a serious think about what you want to come and see us for, and we can even have it prepped. Should you?
Sure, exactly.
A fella was in to see a snare drum the other day, and I made sure it was all fully prepped, ready to go for his appointment.
Yeah,
he loved that. He loved the drum.
Sure. What else was I going to say? Yeah. So if there's anything, if you're listening from Leeds, if there's anything in the Glasgow store you want to see, obviously give us a couple of days' notice, and we'll make sure it's there for you in time for your appointment.
Sure.
You can obviously follow us on YouTube as well. Today actually. What's today's date? Today's date is the 1st of July. Thank you. Is Simon and Goose tech session
have we?
that we
Great,
did on Zoom, so that's now live on our YouTube. You can watch that if you weren't able to catch the event. Granted, I made it as complicated as possible to join said event. That's another story, never mind. So that's free, you can go and watch that now. What else? You can obviously find us in Glasgow and in Leeds. I've mentioned that, I'm sure, because if you book an appointment, you'll obviously find out where we are shop wise.
Phone number still applies, email address still applies.
Yes.
Obviously
we're open 24/7 on drummerslogo.co.uk.
Yes,
if you would prefer to order online and click and collect, that is also an option as well.
In both branches.
In both branches, if you want to do that. And
we can, much to people's what am I trying to say? As per people's requests, we can still part exchange.
Yes.
I think people thought we might not be able to do that. So if you are coming for an appointment and you have gear to part exchange, we can facilitate that.
Yes. Big time.
Yeah.
And of course,
like and subscribe to this.
Yes, please. Yeah. If you've been listening to the podcast for a while, please leave us a nice review, because that makes a difference in the podcasting world.
It does.
And it helps us out as well, so we appreciate it. And if you need anything, just give us a shout.
Yeah, and we'll see you. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.